Playoffs, Super Bowl. What are the Colts going to do this year? Roster prediction right here coming up. Guys, I'm so excited to have Colts Loyalist. He's one of my favorite people to follow. You'll see him. He does a lot with Lawrence on Colts Law. They do the Patreon. They're out there. Hey, man, how you been? How you been so far? You excited about the season?
Oh, man, I'll tell you right now, I go to every training camp session, and the excitement just keeps swelling up in me. My biggest thing is I'm trying to tamper expectations a little bit. But then I go out to training camp, and they're giving me nothing to be like, oh, I didn't like that. No, everything I'm loving right now.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much for hopping in. Like we said earlier, guys, welcome to the No Horsing Around podcast YouTube channel. We're going to do a game-by-game schedule prediction of what their record's going to be. I'll just start it, and then Loyalists just kind of go back and forth. Maybe we agree on most of it. Maybe we disagree on some of it, and that's okay too. So we'll just start with week one, and we all know how important Loyalists is to get off to that fast start. It's been forever since we've won a game. Week one. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, I've almost won a decade, without that happening. But this year, my prediction is that they will beat the Texans. And I think they get off that schneid. I think they know how important it is to have a fast start. All of these slow starts have really put them behind in December the past several years. What do you think, man?
Oh, I agree completely. Because, I mean, let's be honest. The Texans, they're sort of, they were blowing things up last year, and now they're just trying to gather the pieces and figure it out, And so they're just not, as far as where their roster build is and stuff, they're just not ready to compete against an awesome team like the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in the middle of a rebuild. I mean, they really are, and we should win that game. If we lose that game, I think Colts Nation's is just gonna implode. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about imploding. Last year we imploded with the Jaguars to not make the playoffs. All we had to do was win and get in, and obviously we know the story, Loyalist. This is a revenge game, and I do not anticipate us not coming ready and prepared to play in this football game. So I'm going to go with the 2-0 start for us to start this podcast off. And I think we probably pretty handily beat the Jaguars just because of what happened last year. We got embarrassed in our fan base. Our owner was even let down. So far I'm 2-0. Where are you at?
I'm right there next to with you, Bo, because like you said, this game, not just last year though, let's be honest, the Jaguars, we've had some of our most unexplainable losses against this team. This is a time to put a lot of that to rest. And then, like you said, the Colts can put that to rest. They can get the monkey off their back for the slow starts. So, yeah, all this, just the schedule makers did us a favor week one, week two. Yeah, but they get us back later in the schedule.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. First home game of the year. I'll be there, excited. Kansas City Chiefs, big games. Indianapolis Colts have to start showing up in those big games if they want to prove that they're a playoff team and a Super Bowl contending team. I'm going to go maybe a little bit different this time, and I'm actually going to predict that we're going to beat the Chiefs. This isn't really a homer prediction. This is just based on the fact that that fast start means so much to us, and that's going to really be the game, to kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. We've had a little bit of success against the Chiefs in the past and Patrick Mahomes. We all know how good Patrick Mahomes is. I expect him to take a slight step back at the beginning of the year because they've got some new bodies, some new receivers. Obviously, they've got the connection with Travis Kelce, but those new guys, Sky Moore, and then they brought some free agencies, some free agent wide receivers in as well. But I'm going to start the season off 3-0, man, and I don't think that's just hyperbole. I think that's actually something that could really happen with the Indianapolis Colts. Where are you at with the Chiefs game?
I agree completely. My co-host, Lawrence Owen, he's got us just obliterating Kansas City. He really, I'm not quite that high on this expectation. But like you said, first home game of the season, you're coming in 2-0, hopefully, and the thing is that defense for Kansas City hasn't really improved that much. So yes, their offense is dynamic, but that defense is still lacking. And I think that Matt Ryan and our plethora of weapons could really expose those guys in week 3. So yeah, I'm at 3-0 also.
So that moves us into game 4. We all know the Titans-Colts rivalry. We all know about, Derrick Henry versus Jonathan Taylor. I just feel like losing A.J. Brown was a big deal for the Titans. Us being in week 4, we mentioned the fast start that we're predicting, already going to be 3-0 coming into that game. And I feel like this year, option number one is we want to win the AFC South. We know that the AFC in general is just loaded, right? Like there's so many good teams and all these teams got so much better. The easiest possible path to the playoffs is just simply win your own division, and they haven't done that for long enough. I think this is the year actually that we will win the division, take the division back. And I think the first time we'll see Ryan Tannehill. Now we'll get down the schedule later on, and I'm not sure that we see Tannehill on the second go around. But I'm going to start our season off 4-0. What say you, Colts Loyalist?
Hey, I'm all. I love where we're going, and I hope this ain't just us being homers. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I feel like there's a lot of legitimate reasons that you can sit there and predict that. I mean, and I'm not. I mean, Titans have an awesome defense. I really like what Vrabel has built over there on the defensive side of the things. But their strengths on defense play into our strengths with our O line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got Jonathan Taylor, like you said. Derrick Henry's back, but the thing was he missed over half a season last year. And the thing is another year on that body and stuff. Does he come back 100%, or is he going to be sort of a slow builder? Does he maybe not even achieve that level of productivity that he has over the last several years?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think exciting times. Obviously, every fan base is excited going into the year. And everybody's probably watching this podcast up to this point. And they're like, these guys are just picking the Colts to win everything, right? Like, I mean, and we have. This is where the hiccup comes for me. I'm gonna chalk us up for our first loss against the Broncos. We all know how good that defense has been. But when you go in there and you get a guy who's a veteran like a Russell Wilson with some weapons around him, you've already started off 4-0. It's awful hard to play out there as well. I just think that this is probably where the hiccup starts. Starting 4-0, losing to the Broncos. I got us 4-1 right now. Where are you at?
Yeah, get out of my head. What are you doing? But no, like you said, you got to go to the Mile High Stadium. That's always tough on a team. That atmospheric pressure and all that. You sit there and you factor in. I think isn't that a Thursday night game? So it's a short week, I think.
Yeah. It is a Thursday night game.
Yeah, so you've got the short turnaround, then you've got to go to Denver, you've got to play in that high atmosphere and stuff. So that is going to be a lot of things to overcome. I like our defense against Russell Wilson. He doesn't scare me as much as he does a lot of people, because I do think that this Nate Ollie and Gus Bradley defense is going to be able to put enough pressure. But like I said, it's just all the things you sit there and the team is on a high. The team's on a high, and there just always seems to be those ones that sort of help bring you down to earth. And honestly, it's not a bad thing, because these guys sit there, and if they take this loss, they can rebound. They got a few extra days to recover. And the thing is now they're brought back down to reality and said, okay, let's start going on trying to run 1-0 again.
Exactly, man. I think that that's very reasonable. And also, just looking back at the history of the NFL, Thursday night football favors the home team generally. That doesn't always mean it's that way, but it generally favors. We're back at the Jaguars again. I mean, it hadn't been that long since we played the Jags. And I don't think the bad taste comes out of our mouth after one win. I think we want the sweep with the Jags. I'm going to go 5-1. I think that's just the way it's going to be. I think we are going to inevitably I think we're going to have a very good season against the AFC South. You'll know that as we run through this. I think we're just in general going to play very well against the AFC South this year. I think we're going to dominate the AFC South. I think that is going to be internally. We're not going to hear that. They're not going to put those expectations with the fan base, but I think they want to crush the AFC South. So I'm now 5-1. Where are you at?
Yeah, and the thing is, I agree. And the thing is with this is when teams are starting to hit their full stride. This is when now you got all the early season jitters out of the way. Jacksonville is, I mean, they've got a lot of talent, but they haven't come as a team. They haven't sat there and merged. I think they're a team that we're going to have to look over our shoulder a little bit more closely at, and next year and the year after and stuff. I think they're still 1 year out from starting to really make some noise here in the AFC South.
Yeah, man, totally agree. Going on to the Titans, we're 5-1 right now, cruising right along. I mentioned that I think we're going to dominate. This is almost a coin flip, because I think our teams are so close in talent when it comes down to it, and the way they play. Mike Vrabel's always going to generally be in football games and give his team a chance to win. I'm going for the clean sweep. 6-1 against the Titans. We're going to beat the Titans in a nail biter. I just think that these division games are going to be so much heightened for us in our locker room. I just think that we're going to have a very, very successful, division record, because those games are going to matter so much, because we're going to play some good teams here coming up on this schedule. And you got to protect your home turf, obviously, and you've got to protect your division. Get those wins, get that first round home game, and I'm going for the clean sweep of the Titans. Where are you at?
Okay, and see, for me, it's so hard to sweep a Vrabel team. That defense is just so tenacious. And the thing is I love Vrabel. I mean, as a coach and stuff, I wasn't a fan for, when he was a player, but that was because he was playing for the dark side. But, as far as what the Titans bring, I think that this is going to be the first one where the Colts look back and go, man, why did we lose that game? I do give a win for Tennessee on this one.
Okay. So it looks like I am 6-1, and looks like you are
5-2.
5-2.
Mm-hmm.
So, then we got the Carson Wentz game when he comes to town. I do not anticipate, not even a little bit, for us to lose this football game. I think the Washington Commanders are actually a little bit better team than some people think. They've got a good coaching staff. They've got a really good young defense that really can play and turn the football over, get to the quarterback, stop the run. Might not be the easiest game to win, but what I would say is there ain't no damn way we're letting Carson Wentz come there and beat us and embarrass us, and on our home turf. So I'm 7-1, man. I mean, I'm rolling with it. I know it sounds crazy. We're going to get to some losses as it goes down the road, but I'm 7-1 right now. Where are you at with the Washington game?
Well, this one's going to put me at 6-2, because I'm like you. I do think that the defense is going to be able to stifle that offense from Washington. I like, some of the pieces on the defensive side of the ball, but I think our offense is too dynamic. I think we're going to be able to spread the ball too much, that it's going to really be, hard to stop us in the long term for this game. And like you said, I would not want to have to go into that locker room and look Coach Reich or the GM Chris Ballard, or God forbid, I wouldn't want to have to look at the owner in the face after the year that we had last year and sit there and go, yeah, we lost this one. So yeah, I think this is a dub for the Colts for sure.
All right, 7-1 for me, 6-2 with you, almost at the halfway mark. Now the Colts and the Patriots game, people are going to boo me and going to hate me. This is probably where I'm going to go 7-2, predicting a loss right there. Bill Belichick he's just a good coach, man. As much as we hate to admit it, as much as we hate the Patriots from top to bottom, ownership, coaches, players, I'm going to put us at 7-2 and call it a loss. We all know about Jonathan Taylor, how he had that epic run at the end of the game to seal the game, but they had us on the ropes there. Mac Jones coming in year number 2, and they're just always prepared to play football games. I think it'll be a tight one, but I'm now 7-2. Where are you at with the Patriots game?
Well, I'm giving us a win here, and the reason I do that, I mean, we have our Discord there on Colts Law, and there's a lot of Patriots fans, but the good ones, the ones that would come in and give you their honest opinion and stuff. And the thing is this team has a lot of question marks. They were where they're at now, where we were a couple years ago. Their offensive line's got some questions. The linebackers are getting a little long in the tooth, or their new talent that they're bringing in and stuff. And I honestly feel like this is going to be one of those games where you really want to see that Gus Bradley, Nate Ollie defensive line scheme just put tons of pressure on the second-year quarterback, Mac Jones. I mean, he easily had the best year of all rookie quarterbacks last year, and he performed at a very high level, which I kind of expected because he's a cerebral quarterback. But let's be honest, it doesn't matter how smart you are. If you're running for your life most of the time, it's still hard to produce at a high level. So I do believe that the Colts are going to win this one, and I think it'll be like by 8 to 10 points at least.
Okay. So now we're back at 7-2. Different paths, but we made it back to 7-2. When you talk about revenge games that really matter, that's probably going to be the theme of our team. Raiders, we had them beat, and T.Y. Hilton, I can still see him running wide open down the sideline. And guess what? That guy overthrew him, not by a yard, not by 2 yards, by about 15 yards. So just a terrible, terrible throw from Carson Wentz there, but also a revenge game, bad taste in our mouth. We're going to get it out of there. I'm going 8-2 against the Raiders. Also, a little underlying factor is Josh McDaniels is their head coach, and this one's going to be a win for the GM right here. It's going to be a win for the GM. It's going to be a big 2 thumbs up for Frank Reich saying, "Hey, you should have chose me all along. I should have been number one." Josh McDaniels was the Indianapolis Colts coach for about 2 hours, I guess. And then things just went south on us. So I'm going 8-2 right now. What say you, Loyalist?
Now, I will tell you, this game I flip flop on. I keep going yes and no. I'm going to say yes on this because, like you said, I do believe that 7-2 start is really going to give this younger team a lot of motivation. And the thing is you look at the way we've played, even with all of our slow starts, we get into this time of the season and we start firing on all cylinders and stuff. This is when we start stringing it and stacking up those wins that they always talk about. So I think that this is going to be one of those games. But like I said, that Raiders team is no joke. I mean, they're well-rounded at every aspect. I mean, they got a cornerback that we're familiar with. Are they going to be able to expose Rock Ya-Sin? I think they can. Honestly, I think the Colts know the strengths and weaknesses of Rock. And the thing is I think that'll be an advantage to, Coach Reich and stuff whenever they're calling the plays.
So we're both 8-2 right now, 10 games in. Very, very difficult game. One I really went back and forth on a Colts and Eagles game. You want to talk about the master and the pupil. You got Nick Sirianni, who did a great job, led them to the playoffs last year. Jalen Hurts is a pretty good quarterback with his legs. Now they add in A.J. Brown. They've got Devontae Smith. They've got a little bit of a running game. They kind of know what we do. They have a pretty solid defense as well. I'm going to go off the grid a little bit. As much as I hate to say it, I'm going to predict a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to put us at 8-3 thus far. You're not going to go the whole season. Everything's going to go perfect. So 8-3 right now for me. Where are you at with the Eagles game?
See, now this one I'm going to give to the Colts because, like you said, Jalen Hurts, I like the young man as a human being, but, sort of like I did with Jacoby Brissett. I like Jacoby Brissett as a human being. He wasn't able to give us enough to get us over the hump. And Jalen Hurts, until he proves it to me in the NFL, I'm not 100% sold that he's going to be able to utilize A.J. Brown to his fullest. And yes, his legs are dynamic, but that's the thing. You look at Bobby Okereke and Shaquille Leonard. Hey, I got it right. You know what I mean? And you sit there and the speed that these guys bring. And honestly, one of my questions was our run defense with this new scheme and stuff. But, man, I'll tell you right now, watching all these training camp practices, there's not been an easy day for JT or Naheem or any of the other running backs on trying to make any of these run plays. So our Colts run defense is proving to be a lot more stout than I was a little concerned with. So, yeah, I'm still going to give the Colts this one because, like I said, Jalen Hurts, and I like what the Eagles have going on and stuff, but they've still got a lot to prove to me.
So Loyalist is now 9-2. I'm 8-3 going into the Steelers game. It's been forever since we really beat them. These guys, I don't know how it is. I don't know who the quarterback is. It doesn't matter. They beat us every single time. It's the weirdest thing in the world. And that even dates back to the Peyton Manning era, honestly. Like, we just have always had a tough time against the Steelers. But this year, not so much. I think we're going to beat them. They're young. They're inexperienced. And I think by this point in the season, coming off of a loss, as I predicted, the Colts are going to be hungry to prove things and kind of overcome those things. I think this is going to be a special year. You got the right quarterback at the helm. So now I'm 9-3. I'm going to take a win for this versus the Steelers, and I'm 9-3.
Okay, and this is one where my guy Lawrence and we disagree at because I respect the heck out of that Steelers defense. I mean, I think that TJ Watt's an absolute beast, and that does concern me because whether it's Matt Pryor or Bernard Ryman, how are they going to be able to perform against, TJ Watt is going to be a big question. But the thing is once you get past that, like you said, is it Trubisky? Is it Pickett? Is it Rudolph Mason at quarterback? Is there offensive line? I mean, there's just so many question marks on that offensive side of the ball. I think that it's going to be a closer game than what I originally thought, just because of a little bit of studying and stuff I've been doing about the Steelers. But I do believe that the Colts will come in and secure this win. And like I said, a lot of this is going to be one of those ugly games. Pittsburgh's going to try to make it look ugly. And the thing is when you got JT sitting there in the backfield, you can do ugly.
Exactly. So you are now 10-2. I'm 9-3 heading into the Cowboys game. I'm going to predict that we beat the Cowboys. I'm going to get our 10th win of the year. We're going to be 10-3. I just think all in all, I think pretty equal talent level. The Cowboys did not have a great defense last year. We all know that Diggs had a lot of interceptions, but what didn't get mentioned is he got beat just as many times. Really goes for that first initial move to try to jump those routes. Dak Prescott is a guy who's never really scared me. He's solid. He's good. He's not a terrible quarterback by any means. He's just not a guy who I fear, and I think our defense is going to stack up very well. So I'm 10-3 right now. Where are you at with the Cowboys?
I could never. I mean, my dad he'd come down from the heaven and punish me if I was to give the Cowboys a win at any point in time. But like you said, you got Diggs, who I think can get exposed by whoever he's covering, whether it's, I mean, we've seen MPJ put a nasty double move on Faison in training camp this week, and it ended up he was like 12 yards down the field wide open. I could see him doing the same thing to Diggs, or if it's Paris Campbell, he could just blow right by him. I mean, so yeah, I would give the Colts the win on this one.
Okay, so you're 11-2. I'm 10-3 heading into the Vikings game. Going to be another win for me. Kirk Cousins. One thing about Kirk Cousins, he throws the ball a lot. He throws the ball to the other football team. That's one thing that you can always kind of count on with him, especially if you put pressure on him and give him those happy legs. So I think I am now 11-3. Mm-hmm. You are coming into this game. You're 11-2.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So where are you at?
Going 12-2. The biggest thing that scares me in this game is Dalvin Cook. And the thing about worrying about Dalvin Cook is, you don't even know. I mean, week 13 or whatever. You don't even know if he's going to be on the field as much as his injury history and stuff. And like you said, their quarterback, their offense just doesn't really scare me. You know what I mean? And their defense, I'm not even sure what they're going to look like now with all the changes that they've gone through and stuff. And there again, I just feel like this nucleus of the Colts team, they've got so many things that they're trying to check off this year, because I do believe that they're looking at this year as the first honest Super Bowl window open type year. And I think they're going to try to maximize this to their fullest.
So I'm 11-3, you're 12-2. And we're going into a really hostile, a Chargers game. Very good young quarterback. He's mobile. He's accurate. He can throw the deep ball. They really improved in the offseason. So I'm going to go 11-4. I'm going to give us a loss. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to matter a lot. I think it's going to be back and forth down to the end. But I think ultimately we're going to lose this game in a nail biter. 11-4 is where I'm at. What say you?
Yeah, once again, I'm with you, because I like Chargers for me is my sneaky pick to win the AFC West. I mean, I understand all four teams have gone through a lot of upgrades to already talented rosters, but you make that long trip out to LA and just, I mean, the way all that works out and stuff. I think the Chargers are going to be a little bit more than the Colts are ready to handle.
So 11-4, 12-3 going into the last two games of the year. The Giants, not a very good football team, Loyalist. Not a very good football team at all. So it's got me at 12-4. You don't really have that fear of Saquon Barkley unless he somehow has some sort of a resurgence, or emerges as the guy he was when he was drafted before he started getting all those leg injuries. So yeah, with one game left, I think I've got us at 12-4. And where are you at?
Well, I'll make this a little bit shorter. If we were to lose either of these next two games like we did last year, I mean, I would not want to be a part of that locker room. And honestly, that's the type of competition I look at, in these last two games. Like you said, Giants are not that good of a team. I mean, there's not a lot there to impress me. And then the Texans, we've already talked about them. So honestly, the Colts are sitting there and they've got a lot to play for here, because now they're looking at and possibly eyeballing that number 1 seed or number 2 seed in the AFC as a whole. So now there's still a lot of, meat on that bone and reasons to play. So I'm going to go wins for both games on this one.
Okay. So you're 13-3. I'm 12-4. Last game of the year against the Texans. We got to win it, man. It's just that simple. You got to finish strong. And that completes me at 13-4 for the season. I'm assuming you're probably going to do the same thing. So you've got us at 14-3. And that would mean a home game in the playoffs. And that would probably mean in contention for a first-round bye, potentially. I mean, that's a pretty damn good record. If this team wins 13 games, they're going to have the type of season that we hope for. Injuries and all of that stuff play a factor as the season goes. And there's always going to be a team or two that's better or worse than you expected. Let's hope we're not one of those teams in that same breath. Big time, exciting football. Hoping on the back end that the Colts go out and acquire a veteran wide receiver to kind of help this young core go. That's why I've always kind of been pro T.Y. Hilton, because I don't think he gets in the way of anything. I don't think he stunts any progress. I think he has this understanding, hey, he just wants to be a Colt and play here. A lot of buzz about OBJ. That's something that he would be able to maybe provide and put you over the hump at the end of the year. But right now, 13-4, 14-3 for Loyalist. It's going to be an awesome season, Loyalist. I mean, it really is. And yeah, I mean, how excited are you for the season to start and get going?
See, and this is where my vocabulary just falls short on all, because the excitement level is, I'm spending more energy trying to slow myself down and trying to keep myself in a realistic state of mind. Because like I said, Matt Ryan, I feel like he elevates so much around him. And this young wide receiver core. I mean, we've heard talk about how they're getting a little tired of hearing unproved. So go prove it. You know what I mean? And that's what they're doing. They're taking that, okay, we're going to go prove it. And what I've seen at training camp, I mean, I was even a little bit suspect of some of the wide receivers, but I mean, Ashton Doolin's coming out and looking like the second coming, I mean? So it's like, I'm very pleased with this young wide receiver core. And I feel like, me personally, I'm not of the ilk of bringing in a veteran receiver, because I do want to see what Doolin and Campbell and Pierce and Pittman Jr. with those four alone. And then, not to mention, whether you've got DeMarcus Harris or Michael Strawn. There's just a lot of people there that I'm interested to see how it works out.
Yeah, man, it's going to be an exciting season. Fun thing, guys. If you haven't joined the No Horsing Around family, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. Make sure you like, comment, share. Let us know what you think they're going to be this year. You guys go through it. We want to get that chat going. You guys are always amazing at getting the chat going, having that great conversation. That's what this is for, to get this Colts community to come together, talk more about football. And even if you disagree with me or Loyalist, we want to know, man. We want to see what's out there. We want to see where your head's at as far as Colts Nation football is going. Going to be an exciting season, no doubt. But until next time, guys, thank you so much. And Loyalist, I appreciate you hopping on, and we'll have you on down the road, all right?
Sounds awesome, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.